Hi, guys. Welcome to the latest thread. We're back for episode number 2, and we have a special guest. Here is Michelle Weaver. She's going to tell us about the Virtual Quilt Show.
So earlier this month, we heard from, well, I guess it was last month now, because now we're into April, but we heard from a lot of the quilters who were disappointed because shows were being canceled. They weren't going to be able to show their quilts. They weren't going to be able to go see the quilts. And we also heard from a lot of the vendors and educators from those shows, that they weren't going to be able to sell their product and teach their classes and things like that. So we at Gammill, we kind of looked around and said, what can we do to help? And one of the things that we have a good amount of experience with is things related to computer programming and design and things like web design, things like that. So we thought, we could put together a virtual quilt show. So that's what we've done. This isn't a Gammill show in particular. We're opening it up. We're inviting, all the other companies to be vendors. And it's not just long arming. It includes, a regular quilt show where, it's all, about piecing and applique and all those kind of things also. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, it sounds awesome.
So it's going to be, it's a full quilt show. So we've got judges that are independent judges that are going to be judging the quilt show. You enter your quilts and put it in a category, and just like at a quilt show, it's going to get judged. It's judged by photo, but we've got legitimate judges. We've got Stevie Graves from Road to California, and Pat Harrison and Ricky Timms are going to be our judges. So, and then we're going to have a vendor mall where you can go in and see the things that the vendors have to offer. You can actually get on like a video chat and actually talk to somebody, from that vendor if you've got questions about their products, or they can do demonstrations for you through the video. And then there'll also be an online store where you can shop from all the vendors and check out all at once, right on the Virtual Quilt Show site.
That'll be awesome because some of us are going through shopping deprivation.
Very much you'll be able to get your fix here. So
That's right. Well, that's one of the good things. One of the things we're really looking forward to, right?
Yeah.
So, Michelle, I have a question.
Yep.
Just a general question. Like, what would you suggest to somebody that's never entered a quilt show? Like, this is a good stepping stone for somebody that's never entered a quilt show.
Well, definitely go on. You can go on virtualquiltshow.com and you can check out the rules. It is judged all by photograph. So you basically, I think it's 5 photographs of your quilt that you take. Instructions there, as well as some sample pictures so you can see what the instructions mean, so that you can showcase your quilts. And
Good.
And then the other big component that the Virtual Quilt Show is going to have is education. We've got a great lineup of teachers who are going to be teaching all sorts of classes, everything from piecing techniques and applique, long arm quilting, business techniques, stuff just about design, things like that. We got quite the lineup of instructors to teach those online classes as well. So, and that the Virtual Quilt Show starts on April 27th. So it's a show like it's going to run for a week. And that's when you'll have, the chance. So we've got, the prizes for the quilts, and one of the big prizes is going to be a Viewer's Choice Award. So even if you don't enter a quilt, make sure that you hop on there and look at the quilts and vote for your favorite for the Viewer's Choice Award.
Very cool. Good. So that must have been a lot to pull that all together. So you have a pretty amazing team there, huh?
Yep, we've got a pretty good team. Everybody's been pulling together. Here in Missouri, we're now pretty much everybody's working from home at this point. So we're doing a lot of work, and a lot of our people are doing things that aren't part of their normal job. But we got a really great team, and they're all pitching in and pulling it together.
That's awesome. Bless you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Awesome that everybody can adjust like that. And we're very thankful, to have this virtual quilt show. It sounds like a really fun opportunity.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So far we've got in the thousands of people They just sent me stats earlier today. I can pull them up here on how many people are interested. So far, we've had 12,000 unique visitors to the website.
Wow.
We've got over 2,000 people on Facebook, and almost 20,000 Facebook post engagements. 2,500 people who've signed up, for the newsletter. So it's looking to be a pretty big thing.
Oh, it's exciting.
Well, I think one of the benefits why it appeals to people, aside from the fact that everyone's at home, I think is also because if you enter in a regular quilt show, you have to submit, you have to wait to hear a response to see if you're accepted, then you have to ship your quilt. And so it's a lot more convenient, and also cost efficient if you can just submit pictures online. So I think it's, people are much more open to enter something like that compared to a regular quilt show.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a little bit less intimidating.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
I was thinking that with somebody that's never entered a show, I think this would be a good stepping stone for them.
For sure.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter where they are in the world, they can participate, right? So
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about shipping quilts and
Right.
worrying about them out there in the wild.
In the wild.
Sometimes it's wild. UPS gets pretty wild with those boxes sometimes. So.
Yeah.
Well, we thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
And
I have a question before you go, though.
Okay.
okay.
I have a question for Michelle about the classes. So how long will the classes be available? Will the classes be available after the show? Because they're online classes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if
these
the teachers wants to take a class from somebody else?
So these classes will be available during the quilt show, which runs for about a week. Popular classes, they'll have more than one session that you'd be able to get in on. So,
Okay.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any more questions before we cut for a break? No? Good. Okay. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
well, thanks for having me.
Oh, nope. We love guests. You'll probably be back sooner or later, I promise you. So we're going to take a little break. And then when we come back, there was a post in one of the groups, which I will be prepared when I read it. But there was a post from one of the groups about like favorite areas of our studios. So we're going to share some of our studios with you. See you soon.
Hi, this is Andrew with Gammill. I get asked this question all the time. How often should I have my machine serviced? And really it depends on how much you use the machine. Somewhere between 1 and 5 years, depending on whether it's run every day or not. That's often enough to take care of replacing all the normal wear parts before they cause a problem for you. If you contact your Gammill dealer in advance and get on their service schedule, you'll find that a scheduled service call is surprisingly affordable.
So welcome back, everyone. We heard Michelle talking about the Virtual Quilt Show, which sounds amazing, and I can't wait to check out the website and find more information on it. But in the meantime, our next segment is, of course, about one of the threads on Facebook. And in the Gammill Longarm Quilting Owners group, someone shared, "Can you show me pictures of your work areas? We're getting ready to build a garage to store the longarm and business-related materials." She's very excited because I would be excited for an entire garage too. Then she also said, "Can you post about your favorite thing about your space or something you wish you would have done?" So you're all going to see little bits and pieces of our studios. Some are smaller than others. So I'm gonna flip it over to Sharon. She's gonna share the screen because she actually has all our pictures.
I do. Okay, let me get this up and over here. So, okay, so it's one of my pictures first, and these aren't in any particular order, so they're going to bounce back and forth between all of us. This is an old treadle sewing machine that I have sitting in one of my long arm rooms, and I just use it for storage. I got a little quilt on top, my iron is there, my Gammill quilt clips, and all the things that I kind of use that are going to be easy to reach, like the Best Press and 505 and water, things like that. There's another picture of the ruler storage later, so I won't say too much about that. And let's move on to another one. Let's see if I can move on to another picture. There we go. Oh,
Nice.
is thread. This is an old dresser set, like a buffet, not a buffet and hutch, like a dresser set for maybe a kid's room. And I got an entire set for my sewing room for just a couple $100. And I store all my thread in those little shelves there. So,
Can I interrupt?
yeah.
Is that like chalk painted, or was that the way it was? Did you do that?
Somebody painted it already, so I think it was one of those, like you can buy some unpainted furniture and you can get it in pine and different woods, and then you just buy it plain, and then you can paint them yourself. I think somebody painted them, and I like the way they're painted.
Yeah,
so.
I like that little. It almost looks like just a little distressed, almost.
A little bit, yeah. It's not a solid color; it's a little bit faded. So, and at least the shelves aren't so deep that we can't see. Kind of what's in the back.
Yeah.
So, and then this is the bobbin area. So
Like a little baby of the other one.
Pardon me?
It's like a little baby of the other one.
It's a little baby version of another one. And this just has the threads that we use mainly for bobbins. There's a few like little mini spools in there that are top thread, but most of it's bobbin area. I got my toa gauge handy. And that little owl bowl, I painted that little owl at one of those Color Me Mine places in town. And when you pull your thread through the toa gauge, and then it's got the little blade on the side, and you just kind of move the thread down and it cuts it and trims it for you. I just put all those inside there, and it just sits there and it's a nest.
It's a nest.
It's my little owl's nest.
idea.
And that one, I think I saw a question. Somebody had said they want to know how people stored their batting. Some of the batting we store on the rolls underneath our machines, like right on our table on the batting bar. But this is just like a shelf bracket or a curtain bracket rod, and my husband just mounted it up. So it's high on the wall. If you see at the top there's the ceiling in the corner, and then just at the bottom of the picture there's a rack of hangers where our quilts waiting to be quilted are being stored. So it's up and out of the way and off the floor, and easy to cut that way. Okay, this one's not me.
There's the other picture. Is there another picture of it? This is the drawer. Yeah.
There's a whole bunch more pictures, but
Okay, well, eventually you'll see what this is. It's a drawer of something, a dresser, and there are 3 drawers, and I keep them, so my quilting room is super small. It's just a little bedroom, and so I don't store anything under my long arm on that bar that's supposed to hold batting, and I have 3 of these dressers under my long arm, and each drawer holds like 60 cones of thread. So I have 9 drawers of thread that I can get to.
are you ready?
That's roughly 450 spools of thread.
That's a lot of thread.
Really big.
Well, I have it mostly by, certain kinds, like all the permacore is in one hold, or omni, all mixed in one dresser. But the thing to think about with this is that I have my machine is set up pretty high. So if you were to go out and buy something like this to put under your machine table, you really need to make sure that you measure before you go, that you'll be able to fit it under there.
So do you just take your batting bar off?
Yeah.
Scooch it out of the way.
Yeah. It's behind it on the floor, and then I hit my foot on it all day long. Oh, this is how I store my rulers. And it's from IKEA, and it's meant to be shoe storage. And again, super small quilting room. So what I love best about this is that it's only 8 inches deep, and you hang it on the wall. So it's like taking up really no space. And then it flips out. And at first I just threw all my rulers in there, but then it was like they're sliding around and they're kind of messy. So when I was at Walmart, I saw those little gray things that are meant to put your utensils in, like by your stove. And I bought a bunch of them, and they fit perfectly in there. And now they're sorted. So I have like straight rulers and curved rulers. And then I like them so much, I have like 9 of them in my regular sewing room too, because I can put all my cutting rulers and my patterns and fabric. It's probably my favorite thing in my studio.
Awesome.
Oh, that's back to my, you can see a better picture of the full dressers in the background back there. This is basically, I mean, a lot of us are quilting from home, right? So when you come in through our front door, this room is there off to the left, and I think it was supposed to be like a formal sitting room and dining room or something, but it's a quilting room. And actually my dining room you'll see as a quilting room too, as you'll see later. So yeah, wherever, you know, if it fits.
I have a quilting house.
Yeah, it was easier to justify when my husband started quilting, because he needed his own space too, right? So
I like the dog ornamentation.
I know it's probably one of my favorite parts of my whole studio. and I would say, like, the mat that he's on, one of the things that I absolutely have in front of both of our machines is anti-fatigue mats for us to stand on. They're not cheap to buy, but they are so worth it. If you're standing for any length of time, you really need to have something there. And I really like these too, because when I pull up my my drafting chair, if I'm going to sit for a while to quilt, I can it slides right underneath the frame. Slides out of the way, and I can just roll around on my chair and pull it out when I need to again. So yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's me. I'm like, what's that?
It says your name right there.
Oh. So, I have a very small studio, and I have two machines in a 14 by 16 foot room. So there's not a lot of space anywhere in my studio. So I gave my husband my cones of thread that I love the most, and he built me my own set of, he built the big one, and then I filled it. So then he built the one that's on the other wall. So that's where all my thread lives. And then there's still not enough room, so one's up, one's down. My specialty threads fit at the top. And then there should be another picture.
You want me to move on?
Yeah. Oh, no, not that one, the other one. But anyway, this is my favorite part of the studio. That's my ribbon wall.
Yeah.
My thread rack is functional, but this is my ribbon wall, which is it's right there behind me. It sits behind my first machine, which is my Classic Plus, but it now has the Elevate on it. So when I'm at my other machine, I get to stare at that the whole time. So, but there's another picture of the threads. There should be. Yeah. So this is not at all of my rulers. This is the ones that I grab for a lot. So they hang there. But it's just a piece of wood, and it's got some nails in it, and it holds stencils and rulers, and they're right there, easy access.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Oh, that's me. Well, I also have 2 machines, and there's some things that you always need, to work on. So I thought I'd get this little cart, and you can get those at different places, but I have these, cups in there with all the different marking tools, and I have them organized by, water soluble or air erase, just stuff I need. My oilers in there. little sponge to get the chalk off. And then underneath I have some of the rulers that I use, and on the bottom I usually keep my extended ruler base, and I can wheel that in between the machines, so otherwise I am constantly looking for stuff, and that way it's all contained in one place.
Smart idea, Ava. Smart idea.
It works. Well, I do not have a beautiful cabinet like Sharon, but essentially, well, I know. But essentially, I've been quilting for a number of years now, and they keep making new kinds of threads. And of course, you have to try them all to see how they behave, how, they look, and not to even mention the different weights of threads. But so I kind of semi-organized them by brand, tried to do the color thing, and it's still there in some of the areas. But yeah, some of the threads I rarely use, and I work in the basement. So some people think, yeah, you should keep your threads in a drawer like Jody does in her little dressers. But I really don't get any sunlight at all. So I figured this is good enough. And besides, I quilt quite a bit. So hopefully they don't, dry out.
Well, I'm gonna add to that because mine are on the wall and I get a lot of sunlight, and I have yet to ever have thread last long enough to get dry rot.
And I think that part, when people used to prefer only cotton threads, and I think at that time it was a lot more applicable, that they may dry out. But today with the polys, those made threads, I don't think it's an issue. I don't know that for sure, but I would imagine it's not an issue like it was with cotton.
I know some people keep their thread in a baggie in the freezer, and I just couldn't imagine running to my freezer every time I needed to look for a thread.
Yeah, and you'd have to get like a separate freezer for a thread.
I need a thread storage freezer cabinet, yeah.
So we're eating all the food. I need to use the freezer.
The theory behind that is you don't put all your threads in there, but when your threads get really dry and they start getting brittle, if you put them into a plastic baggie into the freezer, it helps to rehydrate the thread so that it's not breaking quite as much. And the other thing that you can do, and this is just a cool little tip, is that if you will put your water dissolvable markers in a plastic baggie and put them in the freezer after you have opened them, it will extend the life of the marker. If you leave them outside, they're going to dry out even though they're capped. But if you put them in the freezer, it keeps them hydrated. So when you take them out of the freezer and you let them warm up to room temperature, they're just as good as when you just bought them. So yeah, there's a couple little things that freezer can be good for. like one spool of thread and 20 markers.
More than just my ice cream sandwiches. All right, we want to move on?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so this is my other long arm in my dining room. Actually, you can see that quilt on the wall over there. That's where I'm sitting right now.
We know where you're at.
and my cat's sleeping on my saddle stool, or my the drafting chair, my tall chair. So yeah, sometimes we actually, if I turn the machine around, I could probably use the back of the table as a buffet table.
Perfect.
And get some more counter space, but no. In real life, we quilt in our dining room.
Well, we're not allowed to have gatherings of more than 10 people right now anyhow, Sharon.
That's true. That's true.
You could just put a bunch of laptops around the table.
Yeah.
I'll come over.
So this is how I store my rulers that I use most often. It's a piece of wood with some angled, I would say that the spaces are probably about 3/8 of an inch, because you want them to be a little wider than the width of your ruler, which would be 1/4 inch. And they're in at an angle. And those are the ones that I use most often. And then all the other rulers in the basket are the ones that I thought, I absolutely had to have and never used them, or they're too big. Like some of those really big circles, they're too big to fit up on that rack. And I don't use them as often as the small ones either. So, yeah, that's how I have my ruler storage there. And my bulletin board pins up in the top left. Am I the only one that has like
No.
all these miscellaneous pins? That's where they go. Find a pin, stick it in the board.
Oh, golly gee willikers. So this is part of my sewing studio, and I bought 2 of these. They're like bench seats that you would put into your foyer to collect shoes and different things like that. And I put 2 of them side to side underneath my Gammill, and they work really well as a storage area. You can see on the left-hand side, the drawers open, and I have the different tools that I need for the Gammill, and the center basket. I have the same amount of rulers that Sharon has that she thought she had to have, and then found that she never used. So that's where the ones that I don't use very often go. But I tend to keep things that I do use often right there, because then they're available to me. So I just really love that idea, because it gave me more usable space by using that area underneath the Gammill.
I need you all to come help me be organized. Yeah.
Is this yours, Jody?
Yeah, that's the cabinets, and I have 3 of them that go across.
That's cool.
That's nice
They're
cabinet.
from IKEA, but they don't sell them anymore, because I could actually fit one more, but they don't sell it anymore, sadly.
Oh, that's not
Got
nice.
some ribbons hanging in the background there too.
Yeah. Yep.
And this would be another view of the 2 bench seats that are underneath the Gammill. And then my studio is a work in progress. We just moved into this house a short couple of years ago. And my husband put up a pegboard for me. And so I have all of my threads on the pegboard. And I do kind of have them by color. And on the left-hand side are the ones that I use as the top thread. And on the right-hand side are the ones that I use for the bobbins. So again, I've got my apron hanging there. My Gammill quilt clips are real handy. My stencils are right underneath. So everything's within reach for me. My oiler's right underneath where the Gammill sits, so that everything is just right where I want it to be, so that I can immediately put my hands on it and use it when I want to.
Awesome.
And this is my little sewing table. You can see my Gammill behind there. And I have 2 sewing stations, and obviously a little bit of a quilt in progress. And I love this area too, because the ironing board's right there. And so I can, if I need to iron a backing or something else, I can do it both when I'm piecing a quilt and also when I'm loading a quilt. So it's just kind of fun to be able to have that kind of space.
Is that your new baby?
Oh, the one behind it is the front one is the one that somebody gave me, and the one behind it is the one I just got. Yeah, that I've just barely unboxed.
You're making friends, right?
I'm going to. Yeah, you see, I have a whole project kind of set out.
I see that. I can't wait to see it.
Not
Everything's
quite
all labeled so neatly.
Yeah.
I like to be organized when I do that.
It's very
They
nice.
have great light too.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
I'm a little
Absolutely.
envious of your studio.
Oh,
Yeah.
You must be in a loft.
yes, it's a room over the garage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this is the cutting table. And Jody, I wish I'd have gotten your shoe kind of organizer. I put one over the door, and I used to keep stabilizer threads and or not threads, but stabilizers and things like that in. My cutting table is really, really big. That's a 60-inch mat right there. So I have a project on one side, and then on the other side, closest to the Gammill, I have the rulers that I use most often, my TOA bobbin gauge. I have my quick change feet. I usually have a pile of papers with the design idea, kind of what I'm getting ready to work on. So I have a roadmap of where I'm going, and my bobbin winder. And of course, in the background, you can see I have a light table, which is probably one of my favorite things in the sewing room. Is I've tried marking quilts with a light box before, and really struggled with, the little 12 or 18-inch square space. And so my husband took like a little buffet table and cut out the center of it, put plexiglass over it. We raised it up, and I just put a lamp underneath of it and turn it on. And so it shines right through the paper, and I can mark the quilt top. That's a piece of radiant silk on top of there, and the actual pattern is off to the side.
Nice. Very nice.
Thank you. And last but not least, that's just a close-up of me organizing things by color.
I only do that with M&M.
Like OCD or anything like that.
That's why I laugh. I'll do that with M&Ms, but I don't care about my thread. It can be any color it wants to be.
Yeah. See, I want to know that I can, and so I try to do both sides kind of the same.
Wow, I need help from all of you.
That is it for those pictures.
Right.
Yeah. I like that little tour. I picked up a couple of things I can do in my own studio.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Well, I thought I picked up some great tips. Like, I love the shoe organizer that Jody has, and golly gee willikers, I wish I had a ribbon wall. But someday, right?
But I should add, some of those are my clients' ribbons too, because we have an agreement that I get the ribbon. Yeah.
I think one of the great things that's happened in the quilting world is they used to only give out one ribbon, and that was for the quilt and who submitted the quilt. And once people started long arming, they started saying, okay, who made the quilt and who was the quilter? And now they started giving 2 ribbons for the quilt if there was more than one person that was involved. And I think that's really great, because I think people, whether it's a woman or a man that's doing long arm quilting for another individual, if it's helping that individual to be successful and to win, that long arm quilter does deserve credit for that.
Most definitely.
I think that's really important, that we give credit where credit is due. So I love your wall.
Thank you. So if you guys would like to share some of your studio pictures, you can post them in any of the groups. Just use the hashtag #LatestThread. You can tag any of us, and we'd be happy, comment on them and just see how you're getting through this and how, what your studio looks like. Be great to see it. And can't wait to see you again next time. Take care.